So I'm Keith Teboul. I'm the shaper for KT surfing, foiling, and Goya and Quattro windsurfing.
All right.
Since probably 95, or maybe even earlier. So it's been quite a long time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Today we have to talk about the Ginxu.
Yeah.
Can you tell us first what the name Ginxu means?
Ginxu, well, basically, if you look at the board on a profile,
Yep.
It looks like this ad that they used to have in the U.S. for these knives called the Ginxu, and we spelled it differently because we didn't want to have any issues with.
How do you spell it?
It's Ginxu.
Okay.
They spell it Ginsu. So basically, the front of the knife is more full than the back where the handle is, and so it looks like a profile view of that board. And we just kind of wanted to have some fun with that, so we went ahead and called it the Ginxu.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of this funny, funky 70s ad where this guy runs around with a knife. And so it's we like to play.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the details of the shape. The special thing is obviously the step and the volume of the board.
Yeah.
Please tell us what is behind this concept and how did you come up with it?
Sure. Originally Elliot LeBeau, who's an old, long-time windsurfer, and then in the kiting industry.
Yep.
He came to me. He started winging and foiling. He's been in it for a long time as well. He came to me with this idea, wanting a little more sensitivity, being closer to your foil. So he came to me with this thought and wanting to be closer to the foil, and we worked together, and this is kind of what we came up with, so that you would have volume kind of where you're paddling or standing, and then thinness where the foil is attached.
Okay.
So we went ahead and made a prototype, and the first day we wrote it, right away we realized that there were other benefits that we didn't even think about. And the main thing is I was the first one to ride it, and I could just catch whitewater and get up to the 3 or 4 knot speed that you start lifting on a foil, and it would instantly release off the water because there was nothing from in front of the foil to the tail. So we realized right away there was a benefit from having that. So we got pretty excited about it, actually, and just started developing and working on it, doing different versions and flat bottoms, concaves, doubles, and in the end we came up with the concept that we have in production now. And we also, with the business, we patented the design, and we're able to patent it in Europe and the US. So it's pretty cool.
How long does it take to find the right point where the step begins?
Well, basically, I think you're limited because you do need some planing surface.
Sure.
So you really want to be as close as you can to the boxes. And so we just based it on what we had learned on normal foil boards and put the step right in front of where we normally have the boxes end going forward. So it was really more a function of that than saying, oh, we want it here or here. I think the hardest part for us was that we couldn't do any testing.
What?
Well, we could, but we had to do it in secret. So we were really limited on the testing.
About Corona.
So we didn't, well, because of that, and no, mostly because we didn't want people seeing the design.
For sure.
And copying, and before we had the patents in place.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult because foiling has really taken off, and we wanted to patent it, not so much because we want this. It's more like a protection thing, and something cool that we could really say that we've put some energy into something and found a design that we find is pretty cool and exciting. putting the double concave into foil boards and all that, I think originally came from us. And if you look at all the designs out there, most people have a double concave through the front. Kai came to me a long time ago. It's not my original idea, but I brought it into the foiling world, or one of the first. He came to me with Kai Lenny came to me because I was working with him since the beginning, and he showed me some video of the air chair guys. The guys that sit in their chairs and do all those flips and they had a double in there. So it's not my original idea, but it's, I brought that into the foiling world. And so you see these designs come in and everyone takes off on it, and it's normal. It's not normal to not do that. But in the end, we wanted to have some sort of protection for something that we were doing that is now just going to start evolving and only going to get better.
How many prototypes you need to find the right combination between the step and the nose rocker line and the part, how long the surface must be?
I think we probably did at least 50 prototypes between, winging boards, proning boards, and even windsurfing boards. And
you do it for windsurfing also?
We will eventually incorporate it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
For who did it?
Just for recreational windsurfing, not in the racing. Yeah, that maybe if we see that I've tried a few of the race boards, but it's a market that isn't so big. And then, it's not something, it's expensive to get into. So I don't know that we're going to go that direction.
Yeah.
We're not chasing that. So, but I have started doing some downwind, sup boards, and they're amazing.
Yeah, that sounds more interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just did some prototypes for Annie. She just raced in the gorge and ended up 4th overall, with the men and the women. And so I feel confident that's a good design.
You're at the right place to have always some good waves. Is it specially made for wave conditions, the concept? Or
no.
Did you think that it's better?
Again, there's benefits to it, and I don't think our goal wasn't to make something specifically for waves, but it's very beneficial because the benefits when you're proning is that you have all this volume where your chest is. So when you're paddling, you're very supported, and for how small the boards are, the boards paddle extremely well. So that's the one thing for prone surfing that I think is better in the Ginxu. And then the quicker lift off, the touchdowns that are really effortless. You touch down and you bounce right off. And then the sensitivity for the turning, you're closer to your foil.
Right.
So, but as we've been testing more and more now, because we're finding other things that are going on, and the shapes will evolve, and so we're really just starting to get into this concept, which is exciting.
But compared to a regular board, I would say, like a regular board, you lose. Okay, we tested right now in 62 liter volume, and then you lose the step. It's about 4 centimeters, and then you lose for the Mustang 4 centimeters. You have to use a longer mast.
Well, I don't necessarily think you have to use a longer mast. That wasn't the we haven't gone into thinking, oh, well, I have to use a longer mast. I think that there's always going to be pros and cons. Maybe you lose a little bit of mast, but the touchdowns and the skips offs, I think, are better than a standard board. The sensitivity. So in general, I just use the same mast.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at all the guys doing downwinding now, they're using super short masts because they want to stay in the energy of the swell that's right underwater. Yeah. So I don't think that that's even an issue. At first, we thought maybe it would be an issue and people would be concerned. But from all the riding I've done and all the riding that Kai and Ridge and Annie and Casey and all these guys that I work with, there's no one saying, oh, I need a longer mast because of it.
All right. The concept, the board is available from 26 to 120 20-liter volume.
Yeah.
At what size would you say the concept is most effective?
That's a good question. I think in the bigger sizes, it's the most effective. You know, the smaller sizes, you're already so, they're already sensitive, they're already thin. I still like the concept and it works well, but you might not feel it as much unless you're a really good rider who's really sensitive to those little things. But so, you know, in the bigger volumes, you're going to feel that lift off a little quicker. You're going to feel the sensitivity. And how it rides through the air and bounces off. I think that's where you're really going to feel the benefits. And in general, it's where people can probably use the most help with all those things. But with the small ones, like I was explaining about the paddle power because of the volume underneath your chest, I think that it's extremely good for that as well. And I was just on the 26 liter the other day, and normally I ride, you know, maybe a 30-liter surfboard. And I was just testing the board the other day, and I was completely able to do it because of that volume distribution. It made it a lot easier.
Yeah, but in the starting process,
yes,
we have there is a bit disbalance because you have really less volume in the tail right now, and then it's very steep from the angle.
Yeah.
Maybe there is a tip from you to correct this easily.
I don't know that there's a tip, but I think that people are used to a certain feeling from wingboards, and so this is strange. And I know that, you know, we weren't catering this board to the beginner. So in general, it's from intermediate to advanced. You know, some beginners, if they're willing to, if they want to feel something different and try something different, because yes, it is a difference in the balance. I personally like it because it puts the board more at an angle up. And so you're just having to rebalance yourself where your knees will be. What I like about it is that when you do come up out of the water, that your nose is up and it doesn't have a chance to go underwater as quickly.
Yep.
So there's pros and cons. It
feels like a bit more front foot pressure.
Yeah. So I think you can also then push more front foot, which is a tendency people have when at least I do when I'm trying to get up. You know, I have this tendency of trying to push down. And so I feel like with that volume and that distribution, it gives you a second more. It is something you have to get used to. It is different. And then there's no way around it. It's so, and you know, so those are the things we're learning, and if people are willing to take that approach that looks at it a little differently, then it's going to be a great board for them. If you're not willing to try a little differently, then it's going to be more difficult for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think with things these days, spoiling is evolving so quickly. So, you know, we weren't coming into the market with this board saying this is so much better than anything out there. It's different. It's fun. It you know, it has these aspects where it lifts off quicker off the water. It's more sensitive because you're closer. And I think with so much innovation from every direction, you know, people are kind of looking for this next big thing. And it is big and it's amazing, but it's just different and it gives you a different sensation. And it's only the start for us about where this will go with that.
The board is a PVC monocoque carbon sandwich.
Yes.
And is the transition in the step sensitive?
Yes.
You get more reinforcements there?
Yeah, you have to. You know, on the bigger sizes, it's not such a concern.
Because there is not so much jumping.
Well, that, and also, you know, you have a thicker piece of foam, so it's the tendency is it won't break as easily. But in the smaller sizes, it's definitely a concern. I mean, through the prototyping process, you know, with Cobra and all that, we've only broken the 26s. The smallest one is the only board we've broken. The 32 and up, we haven't broken any. I mean, we're putting them through a lot of, you know, Kai, Ridge, all these guys going nuts, Otis. So but we've reinforced the smaller ones even a little bit more than the bigger ones. I mean, obviously with the foil pushing and you're creating a spot that's just wanting to break. But I mean, and that was a huge concern because we don't want to have something out there that's going to break. Yeah. So in general, the boards will tend to be a little heavier because we did have to reinforce them. But as we start going through the process more and more, we'll keep adjusting and making it, the right balance of weight to strength.
Okay, because we got also a prototype here in Germany, I think so, because a 62 liter was about, I don't know, 7 kilo, 7.5, something like that. And the distributors say also when it comes to the customers, then the weight goes down about 20%.
It will. That was it was one of the first boards built.
Yeah.
So as we keep building them, they do tend to get a little bit lighter and so on. I mean, in general, though, I've ridden all the prototypes and they haven't felt, I mean, yes, they feel a little heavy in hand, but when you're riding them, they don't feel heavy. I actually like the weight a little bit for the pumping and the control.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. And I know when you walk into a shop and you pick up a board and it feels heavy, it's always concerning.
Yeah.
But I mean, we did have to really build these strong so we don't have issues.
At the end, what would you say? You have a board that feels smaller with the extra lift because you have the volume in the front, or would you say you have you can ride a smaller board and the foil gets easier the flow?
Because it's easier. That's a good question. I think
you can see it from that direction or that direction.
From both sides.
From both sides.
I mean, I think again, it just comes down to the conditions you're riding, and I mean, as we are getting more into the winging and learning more, I mean, we're always realizing that there's this size of board that's not good for knee starting or for underwater starting. And so it's really about choosing what you want the board for and knowing your Achilles heel size that's just not good for you. And then from there, you can decide if you want it to be a little bit more underwater or a little bit less underwater if you're trying to have a sinker. In general, I would tend towards having a little more volume than less in the sinker size. And then the size that's your floater, you can be right at the edge and have it enough that it floats and you can be on your knees. And then, yes, it's going to get up a little bit more quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. So on the bigger sizes, be right where you need to be as far as like just enough to get up on your knees. And then the benefits of having more volume, as long as you can learn that way of getting up, and you kind of tend to be a little bit more forward leaning with your knees and your body. And then as you start coming up, you can lean back and then it's really about just getting going. And then you just give it one lift and then level it and it's off. I really, really, really feel that. And something our Israeli distributor mentioned when he was testing them is that on the smaller sizes, he didn't feel it as much as he did on the bigger sizes. And it kind of makes sense because with the bigger sizes, you're floating and then you're going and then you're off. Whereas the smaller sizes, you're really just underwater and then, and then you come up and then, you really need to get going and then you're off. So you don't feel the benefits as much, but you do on the touchdown and the way it rides.
For you say it's for intermediate to professional, the board concept, but also when a beginner to intermediate the board is using, and he is very inactive. He's only doing a bit pumping with the wing. He's doing nothing with the board. Would you say it's also okay?
I would say it's definitely
depends to the wing drifter, where everything is going alone,
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say it's okay, but you just have to have a bigger size. I mean, sure, if
then in the bigger sizes you have a longer surface part.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
because
natural.
The 62, it's completely round. There's no flat, nothing.
Yeah, a little bit.
And in the bigger sizes, then it comes to more a longer flat section.
Yeah, you're able to, you know, put that in because you have more length to work with.
Yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, I would say in general, I mean, obviously, if you're a 100-kilo guy and you're a beginner intermediate, maybe the size isn't going to be enough for you. But if you're small enough, and then you know, then the volume's enough, and you will be able to stand on it and go. So I don't see it being. Yeah, I see it reaching into the beginner intermediate as long as the volume is enough.
Yeah. Cool. From my side, there I got all my answers.
Cool.
For my
if you have any more questions, though, don't hesitate to email me, or we can chat again. Or you know,
sure.
I know stuff will come up. It's natural. For learning that.
I mean, I think it's very good for all the customers and spectators to get the information directly from you, because we are not 100% fans from marketing.
Yeah.
Because we only want to describe in our product test what is this product, for what is this product, where's the best part for this or that.
Okay.
And for what kind of conditions or for what kind of rider they have the most fun. That's the most important thing, because then they get not frustrated, and 100%. Everybody is smiling when they're coming from the water. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
It's better to do it from our side with guys like you. We have the exactly right information.
Cool. Wow. Thank you.
I'm very happy for that, and say thank you. And
thank you.
Yeah, nice day on this beautiful island.
Thank you, Uwe. I appreciate it. See you guys.
Thanks. Bye.